Your Misinformation is part of the Demcast family of podcasts. What's up, everybody? I'm Katie.
And I'm Morgan.
And this is For Your Misinformation, a podcast dedicated to empowering women to be more politically engaged so we can act in our own best interests.
Let us break down the problem and tell you what we're doing and what you can do to help solve it.
Hi, Morgan.
Hi, Katie.
How are you?
I'm all right.
How was your vacation?
Yeah, my vacation was non-existent, so major bummer. But yeah, I was home with my parents who were gonna watch my dogs while I was gone, and at like 9:30 on that Saturday night, my dog just like tried to puke, but she couldn't, and it was like, well, that happens sometimes when she eats a bunch of grass. And then we realized that her abdomen was all distended. And I was like, maybe this is just a weird allergic reaction. I gave her some new treats. Google. Half an hour later, I was like, nope, actually, I'm pretty sure she's got what's colloquially known as bloat, which is deadly. I mean, within an hour or two, often deadly. And I was like, fuck. Sorry for saying fuck. And I like got her in the car, and of course my parents live in the middle of nowhere, so it was like an hour almost from the nearest emergency vet. And oh my god, it was the most terrifying thing that I think I've ever experienced. It was awful. I was driving down there, and like, I don't want to see living creatures in pain ever, but when like my dog is in pain, especially, and she's crying, and like she knows I'm trying to help her, but I have never heard her actually make sounds like she was in pain. And I'm so sorry to be starting off the episode with such a bummer. It was awful, but I just want to say major shout out to the animal emergency clinic in the Quad Cities, but also just emergency vets everywhere. They were able to save her life. It was terrifying. The woman who like explained, or the vet who explained the surgery to me, did such a good job of explaining all of the risks and everything they were going to do before they even went in just such a good way. And like, as a person who is a health educator and a science communicator, I love it when people do a good job of that. And then also the person that was like behind the desk explaining the financial stuff and like taking all of my credit card numbers because I maxed out all of my cards in order to pay for this surgery to save my dog. I was like sobbing and just freaking out. And she just was so like, she didn't tell me I needed to calm down or something. She did such a good job of just being like, hey, it's all right. We'll get this figured out. We can make this work. Because it was just like, don't kill my dog because I can't pay. I don't know why my card's not being accepted. And oh my God, it just like, I just want to say, anybody who works at a vet clinic or especially an emergency clinic, you know what, an emergency clinic for humans too, but especially for pets, because I mean, they were busy that night and it was traumatic. And again, we can cut all of this because I think it's okay.
I mean,
it was just,
hold your dogs extra tight tonight.
Oh my God, everyone, please, like seriously, hold your dogs and your cats extra tight tonight. If you have especially like a large breed, like a Great Dane or even a Boxer or any of those other breeds that are like big chested and prone to bloat or GDV, basically it just means that their stomachs like flip all around, their guts get all twisted. Abby's spleen was torn. There's a bunch of internal bleeding and stuff. Like, be aware of that and be aware of the signs so that if it does happen to your dog and you're lucky enough to be home, you can get help quick. Because normally when I'm home, I'm actually like at my sister's house till like 11. And like Abby wouldn't have made it if I hadn't come home early that night, come back to my parents early that night. Just like be aware of those things. There's even actually like preventative surgeries they can do on some dogs. It's controversial, but you've got a huge dog like that, talk to your vet about it. Just be aware, hold your pets close, because oh my God, there is just, I mean, I know there probably are things more terrifying, but in that moment there was nothing more terrifying.
I don't know. That was scary even for me. And I wasn't even there.
It was the longest night, just like waiting for that call on the phone. And I know families go through that with their human children and parents and stuff all the time. And going through it with a pet is also super traumatizing. My pets are my family members too. And like I know my dog, if she was a person, would be one of those people that would do anything to save my life. Sure. So I did the same for her, and it's worth every penny. I'm so glad that I have like friends and family helping out financially. Even well,
that's what I was gonna say, is that like that was obviously there was no choice, like save Abby or not save Abby. Yeah. But that was like a $4,000 surgery, right?
Yeah, it varies a lot too, depending on where you live. Like I live in Iowa. I'm very lucky that it was relatively affordable. I mean, if I had more money, putting it on my credit cards wouldn't have even been a big deal. Yeah. Also, like think about pet insurance if you're a pet owner. When I got Abby, I was an AmeriCorps member, so pet insurance was like
rolling in dough.
I couldn't afford insurance for myself.
Right.
And so Abby doesn't have pet insurance, but like when I like my next time in the future when I get a dog, I'm for sure gonna get that because I mean those kinds of things make such a big difference too. And also, maybe if we had like Medicare for all and human insurance and human medical care wasn't astronomical and possibly like the cost of healthcare being life ending for humans, maybe then our dog and cats and other animal friends would be able to have their care afforded more easily.
Maybe that'll be the platform that sets us apart. Will be Medicare for dogs.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe like people should have easier access to health insurance too. I mean, not to totally change the subject, but to change the subject a little bit. Because
okay, but hold on. Let's put that Abby's GoFundMe like in our link tree, and if anybody wants to contribute to that, please help out, because neither of us have $4,000 in savings, I don't think. So that would be great. It'll be just one of the links in our link tree as a reminder. There's lots of helpful resources in there. So if you feel like, I know usually we are giving you political causes to donate to. If this week you want to donate specifically to the most wonderful dog, then I think both of us would be very appreciative.
Abby, it really is the goodest girl.
She is.
And I'm like, just along those lines, people, like, love your pets, be kind to them. And, like, we're financially going to be okay thanks to the help of family and friends and stuff. But, like, just that reminder not to hesitate when there is somebody that you care about, human or animal, who needs that little bit of help too. Just even the smallest amount can make such a big difference. I know, like for me, at first, even after like charging my credit cards, like my checking account was still overdrafted by $600. And hi, Jasper. And so, and once you get overdrafted, anybody who's ever been poor knows this, you get hit with an overdraft fee. And then every time it's impossible to get back out, because then every time you need to buy anything, which over, between the medical bill coming through and then the next time I was going to get paid was going to be 10 days. And so there were going to be a lot of other things I was going to need to buy. Like I was going to need to put gas in my car to get back home and all of those things. Every single one of those is another like $35 fee. Yeah. And then every single day that you're overdrafted, it goes up more. And so by the time, I was going to get paid again, I was going that like my whole check was going to go to that $600 immediate overdraft and then all of the overdraft charges. Right. That's not cool. We got to figure something else out.
That's what happens. I don't know if I've told you this yet, but I've been researching Jared Kushner a lot lately to do an episode about him and his insane family. But what you're talking about actually reminds me a lot of what he and his family do to the people who rent from him. Is they charge them a lot. Like if they're a day late or whatever with their rent, then they charge them an overdraft or whatever, a late fee. But then $100 of their rent the next month goes to that, and then they're late again, so then they have another $100 late fee. So then the next month when they pay in full, they're behind, and it's just this whole cycle. And they're predators. Like, they're predators in a different way than Jeffrey Epstein and the Golden State Killer are, but they are also predators, and that's why I want to talk about them. And I'm not ready yet, but there's plenty of shit to talk about the Kushners. But today we want to talk about fake news. And just to kick things off, if you're listening to this the day it comes out, there's 7 weeks till the election, or 50 days, however you prefer to think about it. As of the time of recording, there have been 190,000 COVID deaths in the United States. I don't know. And schools are opening, so.
I saw another person today on Twitter, which I should just stay off of because social media is where the worst people live, but who was completely denying, and this person lives in my state. No. This person was completely denying that anyone has actually died of COVID. Yeah. This person was like, nobody's dying of COVID. They're dying of other things, but because they have COVID, it fits the liberal agenda. I'm like, what liberal agenda? What liberal agenda does it fit to have almost like going on 200,000 people any day now dying from a respiratory virus? Like,
I don't understand
what agenda is that? And I'm like, the fake news that this person has been snorting is a whole new level of just insanity. I could not believe it. I'm like, how do we still have these people exist? Like, this many people are dead and we still have people who are convinced that no one has died of COVID?
Are they must have been white, right? Like,
oh yeah, completely. I mean, also he's like, it's a man who lives in my state. His, profile picture thing was, of course, not a picture of him. It was a logo, but like, it was, of course, a white person. Yeah. This is Iowa. Like 90% of people are white.
Good point.
But yeah, just ugh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll try and offset that with some actual real news. So the reason that I wanted to talk about it now, I've been thinking about like a lot about between now and election, and then also the time between election and inauguration, if we get a new president. But that was like making me kind of anxious. And then I was like, like Trump is not that smart. Like, I bet we could predict a lot of the fake news that he's going to try and spread between now and the election. And if we could like get ahead of it, then people could know what is just like background noise that they don't really need to pay attention to, that they know they can let just like slide right past and like not occupy any space in their brain. So as a reminder, Trump covers crime with scandal, and the media almost always takes the bait, and we have to be smarter this time around. Like, some people were crying about, like, not crying, like there was an outcry about that. Like Andrea Chalupa and Sarah Kendzior, they were talking about how the media, especially the New York Times, was failing in 2016. It looks like there are, maybe not all like media outlets, but there are certainly many that are again like falling for that scandal bait. So yeah. So anyway, I think we can guess what he's going to say, and also a lot of this episode was inspired by Brian Beutler's newsletter, which is called Big Tent. It comes out every Friday. It's like a 10-minute read, and it's pretty good if you guys are looking for another newsletter. Which I don't know if anybody's ever really looking for another newsletter. I swear to God, on Fridays I read like 6 or 7 newsletters in a row, and then I'm like, how is it dark out? Like, how did this happen? Spend my whole day doing that.
There's just so many good writers out there in the world. It's but yeah, and again, I think there could be so many things we could have fun since we can't like make wagers on sports because they don't exist right now. We could be making wagers on like what's Trump's next scandal going to be to cover up a lie. Or, you know, maybe they'll get tired of scandals or they'll think people are on to them. So they'll start like creating other things. Like maybe he'll get us into a war if he thinks that that'll help him. Or, oh, you know what? Maybe it's going to be the COVID vaccine.
Yeah. Well, they've made pretty clear that they want that to be, or they at least want people to believe that that's going to come out November 1st, which is just a couple days before the election. I am not taking a single vaccine until Angela Merkel does.
Yeah.
I trust her, and that is who I will be taking my medical advice from. All right, so this is like not a comprehensive list, and certainly he could do stuff that's not on this list. So just make sure that you approach all of it with like a healthy amount of skepticism. And also, P.S., I think we've probably said this, but election will likely not be decided on November 3rd, especially because there's a pandemic and so many more people are voting by mail. So I just want to set those expectations now. We're not, even if you like stay up late, like on election night or whatever, don't hang out though. There's still going to be a pandemic. You guys should watch oh man, we're all going to be watching Alone. I didn't even think about that. Okay, anyway, sorry. Don't get distracted by that depressing thought.
But yeah, it's so true. It seems like it's
take a couple days, at least.
Will take a couple days, a couple weeks. Is it going to take a whole month? Maybe more. Who even knows? I mean, seriously.
But it won't be that day, so we have to be patient. All right, so let's get into, so there's pro-Trump lies and then there's anti-Biden lies. So let's get into some of these pro-Trump lies. So one of them, obviously he's leaning heavily into the law and order thing, or at least trying to. So the lie would be that Trump is the president of law and order. So can you help me out with the facts?
Yeah. Okay. Trump is not the president of law and order. Trump is a criminal. Like, right. He is a president who is a criminal. He's got a lot of friends who are criminals. Look at how many members of his inner circle have been arrested or put in prison or indicted or should be. Mm-hmm. Like, no. And yeah, like he encourages violence. Mm-hmm. He is a chaos bringer. I mean, some people have called him the Antichrist, not too far off. Like, to Trump, law and order means suppressing people who don't look like him or don't have his level of wealth and power. Because to him, like, law and order is for the poor. Rich folks and fellow white supremacists and white collar criminals, they don't have to follow the rules.
Yeah. They don't apply to them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just a reminder, this administration is a transnational crime syndicate masquerading as a government. I don't know how many times we're going to need to repeat that, but I will keep repeating it as long as necessary. So I don't know. That one is just like laughable to me. This one, the next lie is that Trump is tough on China and that he even stopped coronavirus by banning travel from there. That seems pretty ridiculous to me, but to rebuke, is that the right word?
I think so.
Okay, anyway, the fact of the matter is, we just said 190,000 people have already died. Somewhere between like 400 and 1,000 are still dying every day, and I don't see why that would stop or slow down. We won't have a vaccine on November 1st. We probably won't have one until 2021. Okay, I got a little bit distracted. But like I said, coronavirus is rampant in the United States. He didn't ban travel from China. He didn't and there was no kind of screenings. I don't know if you remember, but I was supposed to travel to California in February. And right before I left, there was news of community spread in Washington. Or there was a whistleblower because somebody violated protocol. getting off of a plane or something like that. And it was like, I almost canceled that trip to California because I was like, if there's community spread in Washington, there's community spread on the West Coast. Like, I don't want to go to the West Coast, but I was going to be on self-help lists and I was going to visit Renee, and I'm glad I did all that stuff because obviously the rest of this year has been not ideal. So I got to see some whales in February. So hopefully those whales will carry me through the rest of 2020. But like, if he wasn't even trying to stop it, like,
no, by the time he did finally be like, you know what, no travel from Wuhan, that's when he should have been banning travel from Europe, because that's when the pandemic was really bad, like in Italy. And it was just too little, too late.
Right. And before then, if he wanted to stop it, he could have done like temperature checks from people coming from China or something like previous to that. Like by the time that was happening, yeah, you're right. It's too late. It's like already. So
yeah. Or like maybe not fired the whole task force that was in place already to like handle these kinds of things ahead of time. Yeah.
Maybe just reference the pandemic playbook.
Trump is not tough on China. He asked Xi Jinping to help him win this election in a summit back in 2019. Also, he supports the camps where like 1 million Uyghur people are being held in, I think I don't remember which province, Zhejiang province maybe. So like, anyway, it's like, it's not Joe Biden who's friendly with China. Like, it's not Joe Biden who's asking China to help him win the election in exchange for like some sweet deals on agricultural. Like, no.
Yeah. He might like talk tough, but that's not what's important. All right. Next lie, that Trump supports protections for people with pre-existing conditions. That one's just straight up not true. He has even asked the Supreme Court to void those protections and has no plan to replace them. I'd never really thought that much about pre-existing conditions because I don't really have any, but now I'm missing a kidney. So it's just like, damn, am I really, aw, hi Sage. Am I really going to like have to live in Donald Trump's America where I'm like punished with higher insurance premiums because I only have one kidney? Like, please no.
Right. And I mean, I was on a webinar yesterday and there were people from both sides of the political spectrum, somebody from the Republican side was talking about how like, oh, well, we want to repeal and replace the ACA because we don't think it's working and all of that. But they have no suggestion for what to replace it with.
Yeah, there's no plan.
So like, let's not repeal it if you're not going to replace it with something that's actually better for people with pre-existing conditions.
Yeah. They have no ideas. They don't know how to govern. They just know how to like talk shit about Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a huge mistake. All right. Next lie. Trump built the greatest economy in history. You want to set that straight?
Oh, boy. He inherited a strong economy from Obama, an economy that was trending in the right direction already.
For a long time.
Economic inequality in terms of like the wealth gap has never been higher. Also, so what does pre-pandemic data show? Because even though his fucked up response to the pandemic is part of the reason the economy hit the shitter so fast, we'll ignore the pandemic and let's look at the pre-pandemic data. Okay, the annual rate of growth in the GDP has generally been strong. So in 2019, we had an annual average growth of 2.3, ending that year at 2.1 in the fourth quarter, which is significantly less than the 5.5% peak achieved in the second quarter of 2014 under Obama. All right. Okay. So yeah, the Dow Jones, the stock market, reached historic highs before the historic crashes of 2020. But the stock market is not actually a good indicator of the U.S. economy. Like that is not the gold standard of how the economy is doing.
Do you have any stocks?
No.
I don't have any stocks.
No, especially
I don't give a
like
shit how the stock market is doing. It's a graph of rich people feelings.
Exactly. Like, especially because you have to consider that these high points were due to corporate tax cuts, Corporate tax cuts do not help the average American. They don't. Unemployment has been trending downward for years, long before Trump. And like, so the fact that the steepness of the decline actually kind of leveled out during Trump's presidency, also not an indicator that he has done anything to build the best economy ever. Wages.
Also, sorry,
go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Isn't like, I'm going to sound dumb, but like, isn't part of the reason that employment rate looks good because people have like multiple jobs because, well,
yeah. I mean, it can be. There's also a lot more that goes into the unemployment rate than just the unemployment rate, right? Mm-hmm. And granted, like even, we have to also look at demographic data related to the unemployment rate and all of that, but also we have to consider the types of jobs people have and whether or not those jobs are paying them a living wage. Mm-hmm. And wages, when adjusted for inflation, have not, quote, soared under Trump, despite what he has claimed more than once. And in fact, like the peak of the percentage increase in wages during Trump's presidency is still lower than it ever was during Obama's presidency. There has not been a statistically significant increase in household income. So don't believe that lie either when Trump tries to say that wages have soared and household incomes are at an all-time high, because they're not. If you don't believe us, you can check the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. You can also run a fact check with a non-biased source. If you don't like Snopes, try like the BBC. They've got no skin in the game. They're not an American outlet.
But Snopes is a pretty good place, to go. And they're like doing some like heavy fact checking. Like they know that Trump is going to be full of bullshit, like coming up. And I think they were even like hiring extra fact checkers to like handle this election season. But
which is important.
Go ahead, check the BBC. But Snopes is cool too. Don't worry. So sorry, go ahead.
Yep, exactly. And in fact, like most people consider the post-World War II era to be the best time economically in the U.S. Again, like let's look beyond the stock market and actually look at productivity. We have to look at economic expansion. We have to look at standards of living in order to actually try to find what is the best economy in U.S. history. So in the like late 40s, after the war, mostly like 50s were real good, through the early 70s, like that was the best, specifically during the Eisenhower administration in the 50s. Like dude was killing it. Also, Eisenhower was a Republican, so don't try to claim that we're completely partisan. We will talk some good things about even good Republican presidents. Sure. But I want to point this out. We are purely talking economically here. Like we know civil rights were a fucking nightmare during the Eisenhower administration and pretty much every administration in the 40s and the 50s, the 60s. Like we know that. You don't have to point that out. We definitely know. We're only talking about economy here. Yeah. So I mean, it's really hard to say that this even was like the best period in, the US economy, just because, I mean, best is very subjective. But when we look at productivity, when we look at expansion and growth and standard of living, barring the civil rights abuses, things were pretty good then. Like, and if you're looking at the GDP, which is a better measure than the Dow Jones, things were a lot better then. The Trump years don't even hold a candle to like the 50s. We'll pull a random year like 1955 out. The Trump administration doesn't even hold a candle economically. I mean, there is no comparison there. The unemployment rate then comes close to the unemployment rate during the better parts economically of the Trump administration, but it's still not the best. It's not the best. So Trump shouldn't be throwing words out there like best. Unemployment wise, the best time would actually be like the 60s through the 90s. Yeah, like the 90s. Remember the 90s? The 90s were not bad. Like, let's go back. Also, we're never going to go back economically to the 50s because we will never have a balanced budget the way that we did during the Eisenhower years. So let's just try to go back to the 90s because that is at least relatively close and attainable.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
I learned how to walk. I got to take naps. I had a shit ton of Beanie Babies.
Also, like the fashion of just literally anything goes. Wear however many patterns you want. You know?
What?
Go for it. All the patterns. Wear all the patterns that you want. Wear polka dot pants and a plaid shirt. Fine. You know?
I don't mind as long as I can keep my high-rise jeans. High-waisted jeans. Although, like, let's be honest, maybe we just have, like, evolved past the need for jeans. I don't know.
Yeah, this is true.
Yes. So for all those reasons, no to Trump building the greatest economy in history. He inherited a very long trending economy from Obama, and then all the things that Morgan just explained to you. Yes.
No. Yeah. I love explaining that kind of stuff. And like, I'm not even good at economics, but I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. All right. The next lie is that Trump is why a vaccine is coming. It's not. A coronavirus vaccine will be ready whenever it's ready. I have been, like, the expectations I set in my mind are that it'll be ready in the spring of 2021. If it's ready before then, like, awesome. But I don't want to get my hopes up for any reason. But Trump has corruptly turned what should be a politically neutral federal government vaccine authorization process to deceive people about the availability of a vaccine. So he's trying to, I mean, of course, he's just trying to, like, smoke and mirrors and confusion and I'm the greatest and like, I don't know. He
won't be surprised if he doesn't say some dumb shit like people who vote for me will get the vaccine first.
Yeah.
Probably. Like, I'm putting that on my bingo card.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
My dumb shit Donald Trump says bingo card.
So he's just trying to deceive people about the availability of a vaccine. He wants to claim credit for it. It doesn't have anything to do with him. No. In fact, like, you've mentioned this on other episodes, but we're not collaborating with the WHO to create the vaccine, which I can't, I don't know why. I don't know. But yes, so no, he's not responsible for a vaccine. Thank you to the scientists who are working on it.
And the brave volunteers who are allowing themselves to get the early phases and participate in the clinical trials for this vaccine.
Yes. Honestly, we probably could have one faster if Trump wasn't the president. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because of the WHO thing. So we're working completely alone for no reason, even though we could be collaborating with top labs, top minds in the world, and we're not. So, like I said, I will get my vaccine when Angela Merkel gets hers. Mm-hmm. So those are the pro-Trump lies that we foresee. So let's talk about some of the anti-Biden lies and, like, what's true about them and what's not. So Trump has repeatedly claimed that Joe Biden and Barack Obama spied on the campaign. Did that happen?
No.
No spying on the campaign. Next lie that Trump is trying to push, that Biden is going to abolish the suburbs.
Okay, like, what? Abolish the suburbs, though? Like, that sounds so ridiculous. Like, what does that even mean? Like,
and, like, how?
What?
How would you? What would you
abolish?
What would you ban?
What? Yeah, I feel like that's just like his way of saying Biden might make it affordable for people of color to own a home, which might mean that you have black neighbors in your suburb.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's exactly right.
Like, yeah.
He wants to take us back to a time when redlining literally made it so that nobody of color lived in your neighborhood. So that is disgusting. We know what happens. It's not like a coincidence that the black-white wealth gap is like that. Like, it has to do with policies like that Donald Trump is a fan of still here in 2020.
Yeah, when he says make America great again, what he means is, like, let's go back to a time when black people weren't allowed to live in the same neighborhoods as white people.
So, yeah. All right, next lie is that Biden will ban fracking. I have not heard that, although we should. Right,
like fracking is not good. Fracking is bad. Coal is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no.
I for real feel like studying climate or environmental science in undergrad, and then like even in graduate school, like my concentration was in environmental health. But like, yes, fracking is terrible. Like I wrote a whole paper in grad school, a whole ass policy paper about how we should put a moratorium on fracking because it's so bad for the environment. I can't believe we're not in charge of more stuff because we would be better at making decisions like that. But so no. So Biden will not ban fracking, although we should.
Mm-hmm.
Another falsehood that he's trying to. Sorry, I don't. That's something that like the New York Times would say. Lie. They're called lies. I'm going to call them lies. The next lie is that Trump is trying to push is that you won't be safe in Joe Biden's America. We've heard that a lot lately.
That's so fucking stupid. Does anybody feel better and safer about things right now than they did 5 years ago?
Not me.
Who is the president right now? Dumbasses.
Donald Trump.
Yeah. I cannot. Like, it makes me happy when, again, on Twitter, I see groups like Students for Trump get totally just roasted over posting a picture of Trump like walking through Kenosha and it being like, Trump visits what America's going to look like if Biden gets elected. And everyone's just like, you are so close to the point, but also so far away. Like, oh
yes, almost there. We're almost there. Yeah. And then Biden also visited Kenosha and met with Jacob Blake's family, and Trump did not. As much like shit as we have talked about Joe Biden, like he is a legitimately empathetic person.
He is. Yeah.
I'll talk about him a little bit at the end because I want to get down to like drill down into the Burisma stuff because I think that will probably end up coming back because Russians hacked into Burisma. So I don't know if they did find anything, but they have like 7 weeks if they did or didn't. Like it doesn't even matter if they did. They could release like real documents with fake documents. Like there's just so many opportunities. So anyway, we know that the Russians have hacked into Burisma, which is where Hunter Biden was on the board, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So anyway, yes, we're not safer here. Okay. Next lie. Biden supports defunding the police. He does not.
No.
We wish.
Also, like, okay, is Kamala a cop or is Biden going to defund the police? Like, if you're going to spout bullshit, you have to pick a narrative. Yes. Make your lies make sense.
Yes. The next lie, probably my personal favorite because this is the one that I wish was the most true, is basically that just Biden is like this empty shell and that radical socialists that support rioters and are going to steal the election with fraudulent absentee ballots are like really controlling him.
Yeah. Like we wish Biden was more open to socialism.
We do.
He's very much not an empty shell. Like they also have claimed that he's been in politics for too long. So is he an empty shell who's like really easily swayed by these radical socialists? Or is he like an old man who's been in politics forever and is just super set in his ways? I don't know. Can't be both. We had a whole episode on how he's like too moderate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Also, like, yeah, like this whole, like the whole narrative about him trying to steal the election is literally what the Trump campaign did in 2016 and is trying to do again.
Yeah.
Also, Trump openly encouraged voter fraud a week ago.
Right. But his campaign, well, yes. Okay. So absentee ballots, mail-in ballots are very secure. So that's another lie. And like, yes, you're right. He literally encouraged voter fraud. The whole thing is so ridiculous. So
it really is.
This isn't an exhaustive list, but it does cover like a huge fraction of Trump's total message. just remember to be like critical of it, and that a lot of it is smoke and mirrors and nonsense, and the purpose often is to make you tired and make you believe that you can't get to the truth, or you can't get to the bottom, you can't find the real truth, and that's not true. So what you really can expect, these are not lies, these are what, based on past actions, will probably happen. If Trump wins re-election, there would be a hell of a lot more right-wing judges, Supreme Court included, more unpopular tax cuts for the rich, more environmental deregulation, which we know that Republicans love to talk about, but in reality, what that means is like polluted waterways and polluted soil. Like, it's just makes it easier for them to like dump places where kids are going to school and shit. So it's not good. Obviously, more racism and hate crimes. Hate crimes have been increasing the past 3.5 years. We could also expect a bunch of excuses for why the economy is destroyed and over 200,000 Americans are dead. And we can probably expect a much harder climb back to democracy if we ever even get back. So that's what is actually on the ticket in November. So I would just say
it's a lot at stake.
I know, it's so much.
I mean, come on, guys. Like, we have to get Biden elected, just if for no other reason, so Ruth Bader Ginsburg can retire.
Yeah. So make sure we don't have to all fix everything, but all of us have to be doing something. It's not enough to just vote this election. Make sure that you're doing something else to, help preserve our democracy, hopefully. So just keep in mind that when he's trying to paint himself as the law and order candidate, that is just a classic authoritarian ploy. And just remember that he commits more crimes before breakfast than most of us do our entire lives.
Yeah. So, again, read Sarah Kenzier's book, Hiding in Plain Sight.
Yes.
You'll realize that really this is just the classic authoritarian playbook. And we've had warnings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Sarah Kenzier's not the only one who's been putting out these warnings either. We got to stop it before it continues to grow.
Right. Because it gets harder and harder the longer it goes on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like Hexes from Fern Gully.
Yes. Oh my God. So I do.
Oh my God, we elected Hexes.
Oh my God, we elected Hexes.
And not like the slightly sexy version just because it's Tim Curry, but like the actual destruction of our world version.
Right. Wow, Fern Gully was a great movie.
Oh man, I gotta watch Fern Gully again.
Yeah. So I fully expect these lies to get bolder and bolder as the election gets closer. We know that Bill Barr doesn't have any ethics, so he could fully announce a criminal investigation into some fabricated predicate. Donald Trump could announce that there's a vaccine that hasn't been adequately tested. Who knows? There's so many options. Mm-hmm. Just remember, the best protection against these kinds of illegitimate tactics is just being primed to assume that it's all bullshit and con artistry, and treat it with skepticism, because we can't trust the person in charge of our country right now.
No, we cannot. I mean, even just trying to make a scandal out of Nancy Pelosi going to the salon. And this isn't us saying oh my God, Nancy Pelosi doesn't deserve any. No, that's not us saying that she doesn't deserve some criticisms for a lot of different things and whatnot. But trying to create a scandal out of that, while meanwhile the Attorney General is openly acting as the president's personal lawyer.
Yeah.
We're ignoring the real scandals.
Right. There's priority. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yes, precisely. So I want to get into just a little bit about Joe Biden's life, and then talk about Hunter Biden and Burisma, because I think that will probably come back up again between now and the election. So when we talk about how Joe Biden has a lot of empathy, it's because he's been through a lot of tragedy and trauma in his life. He got married and had 3 kids. Hunter, Bo, and a daughter named Naomi. And when the kids were, I think, 2, 3, and 4, they got in a car accident. His wife died and his daughter Naomi died. And that was obviously really hard for him. I think he was like not yet in the Senate, but had been elected. Like he was waiting to be inaugurated into the Senate, I think. So it was pretty early-ish in his career. Later, he married Dr. Jill Biden, who is still his current wife. They have a daughter together. Then later on, Hunter and Bo are his 2 sons. Bo really like followed in his father's footsteps. I think he went into the armed services and had like a really promising future, and then ended up getting brain cancer and dying. So that's, it's very, Bo Biden has lost 2 of his kids in 2 very tragic accidents. So when he talks about loss, it's coming from a real place. But it was Hunter Biden who is a little bit of like the black sheep of the family. He made a career of kind of like getting along using his dad's last name. Like when you have a dad who's a senator, you can just do that, and a lot of kids choose to.
Look at like literally everyone whose parents have money, power, influence.
Yeah, and the Trumps especially. Like, do not try and convince me that Eric and Don are smart kids who would have become millionaires on their own. No. So, like, do I wish that he, like, went on to get, like, a JD and become, like, a lawyer or a judge or something? Like, yeah, but that's not what happened. So, he... I don't know, like all kids of influential parents, or many do. Actually, like Ronan Farrow is a really good example of not that. Like he was the Woody Allen and Mia Farrow's son, and he chose to he's super smart, but he obviously he's a hero, and he did not just like coast having famous parents. He made a name for himself on his own. But I don't know, Hunter's had like a hard life. And in 2014, he was placed on the board of a gas company in Ukraine named Burisma. And he was paid $50,000 a month for that, which sounds super nice.
That's so much money.
That would be amazing. I can't even explain all the good we would do with that money.
Oh my God. I could save so many cats.
So many cats. All the cats. We could get Danny Brzezowski elected for sure. Actually, well, never mind. You can only donate $2,800 to a single campaign. So, okay. Anyway, Ben, can you take that out? That was very boring. Sorry. That was my bad. Okay, so kind of sketchy, a minor conflict of interest on behalf of like a private citizen. Reminder, Hunter Biden is just a private citizen, but it's definitely not illegal. And actually, it sort of added some legitimacy to Ukraine to have Hunter Biden on the board, because Ukraine had been like riddled with corruption. At that point in time, the pro-Russian president had just been ousted, and a pro-Western president was taking his place, and having somebody like Joe Biden on the board of that company added some legitimacy to it. So this next part is the part that Trump and Giuliani and everybody else wants to make into a scandal. Joe Biden called on corrupt prosecutor Victor Shokin to resign. Actually, yeah.
It all boils down, right, to Trump and Giuliani and all of those cronies not wanting Hunter Biden to give legitimacy to this Ukrainian organization, because he wants Putin to have more control and power in Ukraine, right?
Yeah. Actually, well, that's a good point too. So the pro-Putin president was just taken out of power. This Viktor Shokin was a prosecutor in Ukraine, and he was probably similarly corrupted. He was not a straight shooter, and Joe Biden called for him to to resign because he was a corrupt prosecutor. And he basically was like, look, we're supposed to give you guys this aid, but we don't feel comfortable doing it because like there are still some really corrupt actors in your government. Please like get Victor Shokin out. And like same day, I think it happened, he was gone, and a better like uncorrupt prosecutor was put in his place, and then like the aid was given to Ukraine. It actually sounds a lot like what happened with President Trump's impeachment, except this was like legitimate corruption, whereas Trump's corruption was like manufactured. So yes, so Shokin was gone. We gave them the aid. Everything was good. So Trump wants people to think that Biden fired Shokin to try and protect Hunter, but that's not true. Trump is just counting on people to like not do the research or not have enough facts to get to the bottom of it. But basically, Biden fired Shokin because he was corrupt, not because he was trying to protect Hunter, and that's all you need to know. Like, there was no wrongdoing in Ukraine on behalf of Joe or Hunter Biden. It's a non-issue, but I have a feeling it's going to be brought up again before the election. But just keep in mind, it's a distraction like Hillary's emails, but with less misogyny. Yeah. So there's that.
Hillary's emails, simple times.
I know. So I don't know. I think that will probably be a big thing. It sucks. And then we will probably hear more about Tara Reade and her allegations of sexual assault against Joe Biden from the 90s. I don't really feel like we need to talk about that again. We have a whole episode about it. We do believe her. We still think for a ton of reasons that it is important that Joe Biden get elected this year. So, I don't know. There's that.
Yeah. Like, nobody wanted this to... Okay, I mean, very few people wanted this to be what it really came down to as we approach the November election, but this is what we've got. There's a lot of reasons, though, that we need Biden to win. Right. There's a lot of reasons we need to flip the Senate. This is the most important election of our lives.
Yes. So yeah. So those are the pro-Trump lies, anti-Biden lies. I can't really think of any more.
But I'm sure they will.
Yeah. But you guys are smart. You'll know to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Mm-hmm. We do love skepticism.
Let's talk about who we want to nominate for our Good Trouble of the Week.
Ooh, I'm so excited about our Good Trouble of the Week.
I know. You found the perfect person. Do you want to tell me about it?
Yes. Our Good Trouble nominee of the week is Angela Mayfield. She is a candidate for Georgia's House District 67. I'm going to talk about her just a little. You have to go look at her Twitter thread to really get a full scope of how great she is and why she is our Good Trouble nominee. Basically, her local paper ran a piece about her being like a controversial candidate because a few years ago she used, quote, the P word on Twitter.
Before she was even a candidate.
Yeah, long before she was even a candidate. She said the word pussy on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that they decided was important to dig up and bring up.
I need to know more about the word, please.
P word. P word. The journalist who was approaching her about it wouldn't even say the word. He literally was like, I wanted to ask you about the use of the P word. She's like, what P word? What politics? What are you talking about? Hilarious. Like, she's awesome. Men need to stop being so easily threatened by women. Also, the same people who have a problem with this candidate using the P word probably also stood by Donald Trump for using the same fucking word, only in a very entitled and honestly violent way.
Yeah.
As like locker room talk. So yeah, like definitely find the Twitter thread, Angela Mayfield. She is amazing. Consider donating to her campaign. We have to stand. We would love to get her elected. Encourage anyone you know that might be in her district in Georgia to vote for her. Embrace her pink rocktopus energy. Also, that's her Twitter handle name? Is at pink rocktopus, and It's just fantastic. She didn't create a whole new Twitter once she became a political candidate. She was like, no, this is who I am. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, I want more of that.
I know. I love it too.
So, yeah.
So that is perfect. I'm so excited that I was so glad when you sent that thread to me, because there's just like not that much stuff that is super enjoyable. I don't know. I'm like trying to propagate my plants, and other than that, I don't have a lot of positive shit going on. So yeah. All right, so let's talk about our actions of the week now that we're down to 2 months from the election. Obviously we are supporting Angela Mayfield. I am straight up out of money. Like, I might not have, I don't know how much like monetary donations I'm gonna be doing between now and the election. If anybody feels like picking up my slack, I would be grateful forever. So we're gonna keep highlighting candidates. I feel like a fucking fraud because until now I'd also been giving money to the candidates I was asking you guys to give money to, but I like for real I'm out of money. So love Same. Angela Mayfield. We'll try to donate or we'll try to like volunteer if possible.
Yeah, like normally we really do when we put our money where our mouth is when we're telling people donate to these things because they're awesome. We're also throwing money there. Right now we are both a little bit out of money. Right. Patting myself and yourself on the back, we have definitely donated a higher percentage of our wealth than what probably any actual millionaire or billionaire has this year. So like that's something, right? Like Mark Zuckerberg has nothing on us besides billions of dollars. We still have donated a higher percentage of our wealth.
For sure.
But also that means that now we have nothing. So
but there's other ways we can get involved, and
there are other things we can do. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. So so far my like 2 times a week text banking has been going well. I went to do it last week to Florida and North Carolina, but by the time my Florida shift came up, they'd already texted like 98% of the like the people that they had the phone numbers for. So I wrote letters instead because there was nobody for me to text. And then I also did text banking to North Carolina, which was fun. I'm excited to keep doing this, and maybe even like when it fits in your schedule, you can do it. Maybe I'll even do it more than twice a week because it's so easy to do in the background too. But I think my favorite person that I texted was Nathan in North Carolina, who did want to vote by mail but hadn't requested his ballot yet. So I hooked him up with all the links that he needed, and he requested his ballot right there and made a plan to vote, and he is all set. And it just like, oh, okay, good. Like Nathan,
yay, good job, Nathan,
because of me. Like feeling good about it.
I love that. Yeah, I tried to sign up for text banking and they were like, all of our text banking shifts are full, but you can sign up for phone banking. And I was like, I really wanted to do the texting.
Yeah, like let me dip my toe in, please.
Yeah. I was like, do you not realize I'm a millennial? We don't talk on the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lie. I love talking on the phone, but also I don't like talking on the phone to strangers.
No. Yeah. I also wrote 40 vote forward letters to Florida, which officially puts my total at 600. So I'm feeling good about that.
Yay.
And then I hate asking you guys to do things that I'm not doing myself, but if you're healthy enough, consider being a poll worker. I don't know about where you live, but in Cook County, they've hired 5,000 of the 8,000 necessary poll workers to operate the polling places around Chicagoland. And also, I don't know if you know this, but high school juniors and seniors are totally welcome to be poll workers. And I learned that Old Navy has pledged to pay store employees to serve as poll workers in November. And
Old Navy, look at you!
I know, right?
Oh,
and that's on top of like the normal poll worker compensation from their local jurisdiction. So they're just like making bank, and I just I'm so glad when companies do stuff like that.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, like a lot of polling stations are going to be depending on poll workers in order to stay open this year more than ever. So I think that's definitely important. If you haven't, but you're looking for like a spare change kind of thing too, they might still be looking for census takers. I don't know. We did have one stop by the other day here at my house. Wanted to also remind people, like, be nice to your census people when they stop by or when they call. This poor girl was clearly like scared, probably because I know some of my neighbors probably yelled at her. So just like a reminder that that's also a really noble and important thing to do.
Yeah. Funding comes to your community because of the census. It's really important. What else? We are gonna be brave.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
So a listener actually reached out to me on Instagram, and we are going to actually hopefully talk to her tomorrow, and we'll splice these interviews together. But someone reached out to us to make calls on behalf of Planned Parenthood votes in Maine, because they are trying to get Sarah Gideon elected and kick Susan Collins out of the Senate. So their goal, I believe, is to get 50 volunteers to fill 52-hour shifts. And this week is their week of action. So if you are listening to this, they could probably use your help. And if you haven't gotten involved yet, we would like to gently challenge you to get involved with us this way. And special thank you to Mary, who reached out and set this all up, which I am very excited about. Can't wait to talk to her. And she just got married this weekend.
Yay! Congratulations, Mary!
Congratulations, Mary!
Congratulations to everyone who's married.
Yeah. If you're making it,
good job.
Great job. So yeah, so hopefully we'll add a little bit about that. Damn, this episode is going to be long. Okay. You want to do some self-care stuff?
Yeah. So my self-care has mostly just been lots of snuggles with my dog. I am not ready to leave her. I haven't left my house since I brought her back after her surgery. We've been lots of snuggling. We watched a lot of things on TV. And then I painted my fingernails and toenails, which this is an audio medium, so it's not, I don't know why I'm showing you, but to match her, because she has her fourth toenail on her feet is white and the rest of her toenails are black. She's a boxer mix, for people who don't know or haven't heard her bark. And so I painted my fingernails and toenails to match. And honestly, it was great self-care. I am loving it. I haven't painted my fingernails in 3 years. It was very fun. Abby thinks I am kind of extra, and I am. And
I think it's adorable.
I had a blast. Highly recommend.
Nice.
How about you? I know you've got some kitten updates too, probably.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I started reading The End of Policing by Alex Vitale at Mark's suggestion from the Prison Industrial Complex episode. If you haven't listened to that, it was excellent. Please listen to it. And it's very good so far. And then last week, I know I talked about or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that I was going to try and only check my email twice a day. It's amazing. I don't know why I haven't been doing this for longer. I took it out of the at the bottom of iPhones, there's your 4 most used apps. I just took it out of there. Well, I don't need my email in there. So I put Marco Polo in its place, because it's these are the people who care about me, who actually want to know what's up with my day. So
you're going to see more notifications from Marco Polo if I start Marco Poloing you more?
Yeah, do it.
Yay!
So yeah. So I don't know if checking your email makes you anxious, if I recommend setting a timer at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and then just not worrying about it until the next day, because honestly, if your inbox is anything like mine, it's not that important.
My inbox has I don't know, at least 900 unread emails right now.
Oh my God.
I don't make my email enough of a priority, which you as my podcast co-host probably has noticed.
I don't know. You've responded to all my shit. I must be a priority.
You are.
Oh, and then Yes. Okay. I do have kitten updates. You know how when you're like kind of upset and like something sets you off and you like totally overreact?
Yes.
Okay. So I was having like not a great day, and then I walked into the kitten room and they had peed on the chair, and I just like was like, nope, this is it. This is the thing that's gonna send me over the edge, and I just like broke down. But they're fine. That was a me problem. I mean, it was not ideal that they peed on the chair, but like things can be washed. They're just little babies. So there's that. That was not ideal. I also have been trying, these ones don't know to cover up their poop after they poop. So I have 5 tiny little kittens that when they poop and I'm in the room, I'm supposed to go take their little paws and help them cover their poop up so that they learn how to do that. So I know I've said a lot of positive things about fostering. I just want you guys to know that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes you have to help 6-week-old kittens cover up their shit. So there's that.
We all need help covering our shit sometimes.
Yeah.
There's something metaphorical in that. I just don't know what it is right now. I'm tired.
Yeah. No. And I don't know. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm just snuggling my dog all the time. And also it's gotten really cold really fast. So it's officially spooky season in my mind. And I'm fully embracing it. That's why I've got my Sanderson Sisters t-shirt on right now. And yeah, it's spooky season. I just feel like this is really our time to thrive for some reason. I just feel like spooky season is for witches.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm here for it. Also, I saw 2 ravens the other day and they were beating up 2 falcons. And I was like, okay, yep, this is definitely spooky season. Welcome 2020. Here for it. The only other thing I would guess I would have that is self-care is I did find a new podcast that I love. I want the co-host, plural co-host, to come on to our podcast sometime, or at least like the one, because she is so amazing. It's on Gimlet. Dr. Ayanna Johnson is the expert on it. It is all about climate change. She is an expert in climate change, especially like oceans. She is an ocean just expert. And I always feel like experts don't like calling themselves experts all the time. She's amazing. The podcast is called How to Save a Planet. It's all about exactly what it sounds like. There's only been like 5 episodes so far, but I have listened to all of them obsessively. I really, really like them. She's got books I need to read.
How to Save a Planet? Is that
How to Save a Planet? Okay. Yeah. It's a really good podcast.
Is it depressing or uplifting or both?
It's informative.
Okay, so it's depressing. That's fine. I mean, I'm definitely.
It just depends on what kind of mood I'm in, whether I'm not, like excited because I'm so glad there's people working on this and that there are solutions, or if I'm just like, this is so sad. Why did we let the earth get to this point?
Yeah, for sure.
It just kind of varies, but yeah. The other host is Alex Bloomberg from Gimlet. Yeah, I think you would be. Yeah, feel like a lot of people who like podcasts are very familiar with him. So he's got a good podcast voice for sure.
For sure. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, then we will talk to you guys next week, and we will let you know how phone banking went after we've been very brave. Because I don't know, it might not be bravery, it might just be like I really hate Susan Collins. I hate her enough to get on the phone. So there. All right, well then we will talk to you guys next week, and in the meantime, stay sexy
and stop getting your news from Facebook. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Stop it.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening to For Your Misinformation. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you like it, give us a rating and a review. It helps us find more listeners, and the more of us there are, the better.
And make sure you're following along on Instagram and Twitter at FYMI Pod.
Shout out to Kyle Dibdahl for the intro and outro music, Hope Dye for the podcast art, and Ben Schlofelt for the audio production.
We come out with new episodes every Monday.